Sadly, this problem is not only a growing problem in Nigeria, but also in so many other countries across the world, and it demands urgent action. And I want to be clear. Protecting Christians in Nigeria is not about taking sides or dividing people. It is about uniting humanity. Nigeria is a beautiful nation. It is about uniting humanity. Lots of beautiful barbs that I can't wait to see. When one's church, mosque, or place of worship is destroyed, everyone's heart should break just a little bit. And the foundation of the United Nations, with its core mandate to ensure peace and security, should shake. I am joined here today by peace builders, by faith leaders, by those who saw violence, saw rising intolerance, saw the threats clearly before us, and chose not to look the other. I am inspired by their work to build interfaith ties, to see the humanity across the lines which might divide us, and to fight for security and liberty for all those who pray. I look forward to our discussion today, and I hope it will encourage deepened solidarity for us to urgently work together to ensure every person can enjoy the right to believe, to worship, and to live in peace. Barbs, I know you're somewhere listening. I love you so very much. You have been the ultimate light in my life and career for so long. I appreciate you, and I want to make it very clear once again that this isn't about taking sides. This is about standing up in the face of injustice. It's about what I've always stood for my entire career, and I will continue to stand for that. For the rest of my life, I will care if anyone, anywhere, is being persecuted for their beliefs. Thank you.
Ooh, that was a long video. And ladies and gentlemen, we're back on the vertical. I double checked the audio's working. Shout out to China. Thank you for that, baby girl. I appreciate it. Now, here's so here's the thing. I agree with that. I agree with everything that she has stated. I don't think you should be prosecuted based off of your foundational belief systems. I don't think you need to be prosecuted at all. Now, some people say, well, Chris, you're a Christian, so obviously you will want somebody to come to the Christian's rescue. And like I said, I have no shame of my what's the word I'm looking for? Ideology. Where is it at? Did I delete it? I hope I did not, because that's a lot. Okay, here we go. What's my ideology? Christian, child of God, believer, God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And I need to also put Hebrew on there as well. With all of that, let me say this. I believe that for anybody. I do not believe that you should be antagonized, disrupted, or even threatened based off of, like I said, what you believe in. I don't care if you're Muslim, I don't care if you're Buddhist, I don't care if you're Protestant, I don't care if you're undecided. Atheist, I don't care. If the most powerful thing that you guys have is a choice to worship or not worship whoever you want. And see, me as a believer, I don't force my belief systems on anybody. I do not. Because I know my next door neighbor, this is a wild assumption. I know my next door neighbor is not Christian. I'm not going to go knock on the door and say, hey, John 3:16, for God so loved the Lord, he gave out, God blah, 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 going down the list. I'm not doing that to him just to force it into him every day. No. However, there's something about just being respectful of people's decisions, being respectful of people's choices. So my heart goes out to the Christians or anybody around the world who is facing these type of oppression, and this is a form of oppression, ladies and gentlemen, regarding their spiritual or religious belief. So what about Congo and Sudan? I am not well informed about what's going on in Congo or Sudan. My principles will remain the same. I don't think you need to be antagonized for what you believe in. But if somebody could catch me up on what's going on in those two countries, I would like to know. Because I have no knowledge of what's going on in those countries. I'm not even going to hold you. Now, also, real quick, before we get to the next topic, some people say, why is Nicki Minaj doing this? Especially siding with Trump. I know Amanda Seales has something to say. I don't give a damn about what Amanda Seales has to say ever. I'm not going to hold y'all. I know Tamika Mallory said something as well. And I respect Tamika Mallory a lot more than Amanda Seales, so I'll keep it a buck. Now, people are criticizing this move, saying you're siding with Trump. This is going to backfire because he's using this to get the popular vote, to pander to black people. The same rhetoric that we have always heard about any celebrity or high-profile individual that want to align with the quote-unquote other side. Let me tell y'all something. The Christians in Nigeria don't give a damn. And neither should you. So whatever your personal hatred for Trump is, it may be legitimized, but now's not the time. Put that to the side. Also, one last thing. People are going to ask, is this a cleanup for Nicki Minaj? I'm going to say no. And what do I mean by cleanup? You guys remember when her and Cardi B had that egregious back and forth on Twitter? Nicki Minaj crossed the line quite a few times. Ladies and gentlemen, had that been me, we're not talking no more. We ain't tweeting shit. Drop the addy. Now we're going to have to meet up. So some people say, is this a cleanup? So if it's a cleanup, how genuine is her message? I believe the message is genuine. I'm not going to put cleanup on her resume because I could be wrong, but I think she tweeted this first, and then the Trump administration or whoever reached out to her to come speak at the UN. So I'm not putting cleanup duties on Nicki Minaj. I'm not doing that. But shout out to Nicki for doing that. Hold on. Jake want to say something. But she should, since she cares about them all. That's who I was referring to. I mean, sure, I agree. I don't think her, anybody, whoever wants to speak on it, I agree. I don't have no problem with that. She's just aligning with Trump in disguise. That's what she did. All that apologizing to the bars. Child, talk to the situation at hand. I mean, yeah, because the way I say is, well, she had to, I guess. 40 carats, shout out to you. I see you on IG. I guess she, no. Well, I'm not going to say she had to because she didn't have to address the bars at all. Because one thing she needs, I think she said, she emphasized it in her speech that she's doing this for the Christians of Nigeria. And if the bars are not that smart to comprehend, then they just need to go back to school. And quite frankly, I wonder how old the average age of a barb is. They should have graduated high school by now, but who knows? But shout out to Nicki. No pushback over here for what she's doing. She's good in my book regarding that. Next topic. Pharrell. GOAT producer Pharrell. He has some interesting comments regarding politics and DEI. Don't worry, I promise you this clip is not going to be as long. Matter of fact, it's about 90 seconds. Here it is.
What's going on in the current political climate? I'm just saying, I want to turn everybody off. I hate politics. Like this Boston, it's a magic trick that it's not real. I don't believe in either side.
Email me. If you're for real, email me.
Yeah, it's not a popular point of view, but I just gotta say that. Think about it. The wells are drying up, and okay, now that diversity's off the table, now equity's off the table, now inclusion's off the table. So that makes me ask myself, okay, so how do we survive? Well, are there black people here tonight? And in your heart, do you think for what it is that you do?
You're hilarious.
Okay, so do you want the job because you're black or because you're the best? Do you want someone to support your startup because you're black or because you're the best? Right, so I think now for me it's about us having the best ambition. That's the reason why you should support these businesses. Yes, they happen to be black and brown, but it should be based on the thesis that we're the best, not because we are a total shade of a skin color. That's a point of view that I have now that I'm resting on, and if diversity, equity, and inclusion ever comes back in style, cool. But in the meantime, I'm gonna focus on being the best because I can bank on that. Because that's what's gonna get you the position. Where, I don't want you to give me anything. I want you to panic and not let me out the room because I'm the best.
I agree. I'm the exact same way. Shout out to Angelica and Tati on IG. Thank you for pulling up. I agree. Now let me start with the politics first. That's his own. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion about politics, about it being divisive, and just a lot of people don't like politics. He's not the only one. I've been hearing this all my life. Now, Roland Martin decided to address him, and shout out to Roland Martin, but I had to cut that off because it's like you're reaching, my guy. You're reaching regarding the politics part and aligning it with him winning the Grammys. Like you, what did he say? He said you are a X. You won the Grammys X amount of times. I think 13. I could be wrong, but I think the number's 13. You won these many Grammys, and people had to vote for you to win. That's divisive in itself because you're putting people against each other just to so you can win a Grammy. So that's politics. And my thing is that's a false equivalency. That is a complete false equivalency. Roland Martin, you know better. Now, as far as the DEI, here's the thing. Am I a DEI guy? No, I'm not. But I do understand what DEI was trying to do to make sure the people who kept up, the qualified people that kept on getting looked over gets an opportunity. Similar to the Rooney Rule in NFL, which is how Mike Tomlin got the head coaching job in Pittsburgh. And quite frankly, go look at his record. And are we going to put him down as one of the greatest coaches of all time? During the regular season, I would definitely put him down for that. But the thing is, he probably would have got overlooked because he's black in the all billionaires boy club where there's no minority. Well, vast majority of the billionaires are white men. And going down to the office is similar. So people of color would have got looked over for those jobs. So that's the Mike Rooney Rule. Now that's the same thing happens to DEI. Obviously, who benefited the most? White women. And everybody else got whatever crumbs off the table. I was checking out my chat to see what's going on the vertical side. Now, I agree with what he said. I like what he said, and I appreciate what he said. You want the job because you're the best. I got the jobs that I have received, especially on the management side for the most part, is because I am the best candidate. Not because of this. It's not because of my skin tone. It could be a plus. It could be an attachment. But when you hire me, It's because I want you to put any white man in front of me. I want you to put any whoever that you think is a superior. Put them in front of me so I can knock their asses down. Let me show you my resume. Long. Skill sets, limitless. Durability. Who you know works 80 plus hours a week? Put those motherfuckers in front of me so I can embarrass them. That's the type of smoke that I'm always looking for when I go to any job that I work at. You can't find a harder worker than me inside these four walls. Oh, he's getting off at 5:30? Bet. I'm getting off at 9:30. What's good? But you got here at 9:30 in the morning, and I'll leave at 9:30 at night. What we talking about? And my productivity is A1. That's me. Now, to the point of people saying they now let's say there's some people who have the same ambition or the same confidence as I do. What they're saying is they keep getting knocked down because they keep playing these games. I was watching Shiraz's channel earlier today, and Angry Man and Cellulite, shout out to them, said something, and I agree with, because there was going out some dude that says that black men are conquered. The fuck? Do I look conquered to y'all? Does this look like somebody that's conquered? That's any shackles on me? Fuck you talking about? But no, I digress. He believes we're conquered because we keep playing their game. Here's what they say, and I agree 1,000%. If you're going to keep playing a losing game, then stop playing. Go create your own game and win. Shout out to all the entrepreneurs out there who stopped playing those people game and created their own game. Now, 6 figures out the ass. If they're not going to give it to you, take it. And if you can't take it, go create one. That's how the game is playing. Now, what pissed me off about this, because like I said, I didn't finish that Roland Martin clip because it just dawned on me. Roland Martin, CNN, other stations, News One. Aren't you on your own platform? Independently owned by you. You run all of that. You don't need to worry about those people money because you got your own money. And I would imagine you getting your own money through your own platform, how monetization, how donations work, and all this other stuff. You're doing good out there. So you are the epitome that you don't need DEI. You don't need to play their games because you can go play your own game, which you did. And you've been doing it successfully, I might add. Go look at Roland Martin's, is Roland Martin's Unfiltered? Go look at his numbers. He ain't never got worried about going to any of those major new outlets again. So, I agree with Pharrell with what he's saying. I can acknowledge that there are entities at play that dictates who can get in, who can't. See, I have been able to knock out anybody that is put in front of me. So that's why I'm good. Anybody else, like they said, if they're tired, they just stop playing the game, go create their own game. So I have zero problems with what Pharrell Williams said. Shout out to Pharrell. Now, last thing, hold on real quick. Being the best ain't even 50% true. Your nepotism, favoritism is real. I believe nepotism, favoritism does play a part. I am not ignoring that. Like, for example, let's say if Jada wanted to ever, obviously this will never happen because when I tell you she's good, she's good. But let's say let's do this. Let's say Jada had a nephew who was moving to Houston and he needed he just needed a hookup. Work ethic is already there. He just needed a hookup. That's where nepotism and favoritism will come into play. However, Jada, I will make sure you do. I can get you in the door, but you better make sure you qualify for this job. Because they will, if they don't throw you out, I will. That's what I'm saying. Now, regarding that, and that's my whole thing, Jada, with the nepotism and favoritism to the other side, I have knocked out a lot of people that had nepotism and favoritism. That didn't mean a damn thing to me. Because you're going to have to go explain to your bosses, why did you ignore this resume? In comparison to somebody that had a couple of lines of skill sets. Oh, I can't wait. I salivate at the day that those idiots got to go explain that to their bosses, but none of them do. You know why? Because they always hire the right man for the job. And like I said, if nepotism, favoritism is too much, stop playing the game, go create your own game. Stop playing their game and go create your own. That's all I'm saying. I'm gonna leave Jada alone. I'm gonna leave Jada alone. You ain't about to get me off guard. Last up, I saw this moments ago. I had to look into it, and actually, let me go ahead and move myself. Let me move myself to the other side of the screen. Meg. Let's get into it. Where is it? There we go. During the latest proceedings in Meg Thee Stallion defamation lawsuit against blogger Milagro Grounds, her former manager took the stand to offer emotional testimony about the toll the controversy has taken on the Grammy-winning artist. This is my first time hearing about this, ladies and gentlemen, so I don't know what's going on outside of the title. Travis Ferris, professionally known as T. Ferris, I think I heard of that name before, testified in court on Wednesday that Megan underwent an extensive therapy program totaling to $240,000 to cope with the psychological aftermath of Graham's. When you see, I should let me. Damn it! I'll text her later. Where we at? Oh yeah, to cope with the psychological aftermath of Graham's online protests. Among those posts were a manipulated pornographic video using deepfake technology, which viewers believe to be authentic. Actually, let me turn this on because I feel like she's gonna call me while I'm online. Yeah, see, when did that SWAT episode came out? Let me see if I can look this up. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a fan of deepfake. I'm not going to hold you guys. When I first heard about deepfake and it being a possibility, I instantly got upset. Let me see if I can find that particular episode. Let's see. I'm looking this up because I was watching a TV. I was watching SWAT with what's homeboy's name? almost said Montel Jordan. Shamar Moore, the SWAT show. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, so someone made a deep fake video of Meg Thee Stallion engaging in porn activities. Yep, here we go. Season 5, episode 16, excuse me. When did this come out? Oh, when was this released? Yeah, April 10th, 2022. So yeah, 3 years ago. I knew this was gonna be a problem 3 years ago. And it's SWAT season 5, episode 15, titled "The Fugitive." Somebody did a deepfake of Hondo killing a cop, and it came out later that they found out that it wasn't him. It was obviously staged. Yeah, I'm not a fan of deepfake. I'm not a fan of it at all. Matter of fact, I saw one. This is when I realized then it was gonna be a problem. When I realized people actually had access to this was when they did a deepfake of LeBron James talking shit about Stephen A. Smith. I knew it was done. I knew something like this was going to happen. I didn't know it was going to be Meg, but I can't say I'm not surprised. Because when you give people access to this level of technology, especially through AI, this is why I say, although I'm not a fan of government getting involved in everything, this is where I say there needs to be some type of regulation to prevent stuff like this from happening. Now, I'm pretty sure Meg is, so actually, let me keep reading. Ferris told the jury, Megan came to me in tears and apologized for me having to see the video. He explained that the emotional distress triggered by the video and subsequent online speculation led to her decision to seek help. He also recalled the day of the July 2020 shooting incident. Okay, with the okay. And this is her suing her former manager for posting that on her own blog website. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to technology, there has to be some type of limitation. You gotta learn. You gotta know when enough is enough. I know when it comes to Sora, I know they stopped with the historical figures like utilizing MLK. From what I read, I don't know if that's entirely accurate, but I got tired of seeing MLK in the WWE ring. All these other deepfakes it's getting kind of nasty, y'all. This is crazy. Even this is crossing the line. So I hate that Meg had to go through this. I really do. I understand why she's legally suing her former manager. However, there needs to be some type of digital trail or digital footprint that will lead you back to the person who is making these deep fakes. So that way, now you can hold them legally accountable. What do I think the punishment should be? What's the punishment for revenge porn? Actually, this is several steps higher than revenge porn. Whatever the punishment that is, you need to excel it. Whatever the max punishment is, I'm game because this is crazy. Now, also, I wanted to speak on the $240,000 in therapy. I also want to take this moment to remind people, if you have an insurance provider, check in with them because your therapy session might be free. If it's not, worst case scenario, it's not a hell of a discount. But therapy sessions through your medical insurance is free, more times than not. I remember Charlamagne said that on either Breakfast Club or Brilliant Idiots. I took a chance to test it out, and shout out to my insurance company, therapy was free. So yeah, I have been to, on my own fruition, I've been to therapy once. Not one segment. Her and I had plenty of sessions, but I previously went to therapy, and also if anybody asks why did I stop going to therapy, because like Kevin Samuel said, God rest his soul, there's a graduation date. Whatever I was going through at that time, maybe we'll go through it one day if I go back and go through those sessions. But there's always a graduation date, unless I'm medically diagnosed with something, which I'm not. Glory to God. But there's a graduation date for that. I just want to throw that out there. If you have medical insurance, go check with your medical insurance provider, see if your insurance, if it will cover for your therapy session. More times than not, it will. If not, there's a hell of a discount. Ask them to send you all the therapists that's in your network, and you get to choose which one you want to go to. So just wanted to throw that out there, ladies and gentlemen. And that was Quick Hits. Get back in the center. There we go. All right. And change the banner. Okay. Let's go ahead and continue. Just to do a quick reset, ladies and gentlemen, this is the BTSI show. I'm your host, Christopher J. Thank you guys for tuning in to the finale of Everyone is a Feminist, Part 3. Lisa, how you doing? Let's see, where's my banner? Yes, here we go. So, one quick second, because there we go. Yeah, I don't know who decided to change this, but okay. Oh, well, I'll just leave it like that. It don't matter. All right, let's get started on this idea of everyone is a feminist, part 3. Now, what does it mean to be a feminist? It's a human being who believes that women should have equal rights. By that definition, ladies and gentlemen, I am a feminist by that definition. So, what else did we find out with this information? The major types of feminism is what we went over last week, which is liberal, radical, socialist, Marxist, intersectional, cultural, eco-feminism, and transfeminism. Those are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 different types of feminism. So what are we going over today in the finale? We are going to touch on the different waves of feminism. So, I'm ready. I need some more coffee, that's for sure. But we're going to go over that right now. Let's get into the ways of feminism. Now we're going to, with the dates. Now, this one kind of shocked me, but it shouldn't. Let's start with the first wave. Ooh, where's my, whatchamacallit? Here we go. The first wave of feminism, ladies and gentlemen, started in the mid-1800s through 1920s. It focused on legal rights, especially women's suffrage and property ownership. Key events include Seneca Falls Convention, which happened in 1848, and the 19th Amendment in 1920. Let's get to some more details, and I'm going to need to look up the amendment 1920. All right. Excuse me. First wave of feminism, which emerged in the late 19th and 20th century, focused primarily on legal issues, particularly women's suffrage, like I said, the right to vote. The main reason behind the movement was the belief that women deserve equal rights as men, particularly in matters of political participation, education, property rights, and marriage laws. Based on that, I am first wave feminism. Key motivations behind the first wave of feminism includes, like I said, the suffrage. Women wanted the right to vote, which they saw as essential for securing broader social and legal changes. They believed political power would allow them to influence laws, affect their lives and well-being. Cool. Second, legal and property rights. Women were often legally considered the property of their husbands, with no control over their own wages, property, or inheritance. First wave feminists fought for the women's rights to own and inherit property, control their earnings, and have legal recourse in cases of divorce and domestic abuse. All right, so far so good. I don't, as far as women being seen as property, them having their own right to funds, make their own decisions, like to be an adult versus a dependent, I have no problem with that. So we still in the first wave. Almost put my hand up like we champion Roman Reigns. But education. First wave feminists advocated for women's access to higher education and professional careers, which were largely reserved for men at the time. They believed that education was crucial to empowering women and allowing them to participate fully in society. Let's see. Do I have a problem with that? Obviously not. If they want to go educate themselves, go ahead. If they want to go to work and make money, let them go ahead. See, before we get to marital family reform, I need some people who disagree to think about this, particularly the men. Whoever doesn't agree with this. All of the things that women are doing is to benefit the household anyway. So why would you interfere with that? What's that saying? Cut your nose to spite your face or something like that? Because that's what this is sounding like. They are graduating from being dependents to being adults. I say rock out. And lastly, marital family reform. Women saw greater legal rights within marriage, such as custody of their children and the rights to initiate divorce. The movement also addressed issues like domestic violence and the need for reproductive rights, though these issues were less central at the time compared to latter feminist ways. Meaning, I understand that, and I will agree to that. You should not force anybody to be in a situation that they don't want to be in, especially if domestic violence is at the foundation of that problem. If they want to leave, let them leave. And what they're also highlighting is this wasn't as prevalent back then as it is now, especially as far as initiating the divorces. That's a entirely different subject in of itself. But one thing is you want to give people the right to choose. And if that's what they want to choose, if that's what they elect to do, let them do it. Don't force anybody to be in a situation that they don't want to be in. Let them go. And let them live with the outcomes of their decision. And of course, when you talk about the first wave, before we get to the second one, it was led by known figures like you already know, Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Stanton, Amelia Parkhurst, who pushed for legal equality and expanded opportunities for women, culminating in key victories such as the passage of the 19th Amendment in the United States. Okay, let's look this up. What is the 19th Amendment? The 19th Amendment granted women the right to vote, prohibiting the denial of or abridgment of voting rights based on sex. Ratified in August 18, 1920, after being passed by Congress in 1919, the amendment was the culmination of a decade-long women's suffrage movement that used various methods to protest and advocacy. I'm tripping tonight. While a monumental victory, the 19th Amendment did not immediately guarantee voting access for all women, as many women of color were still Disenfranchised by discriminating practices like poll taxes and literacy tests for decades to come. Interesting. But I can't say that's surprising. But that was the first wave. So as of now, Christopher J is a first wave feminist. Now, let's continue. What's next? The second wave, of course, which happened in the 1960s through the 1980s. Broadening the workplace equality, reproductive rights, and challenging gender roles. Influenced by the book like the Feminist Mystique and laws like the Equal Pay Act of 1963. All right. Where we at? Let's get to the second wave. The second wave of feminism, which began in the 1960s and extended into the 1980s, broadened its focus beyond legal rights to address a wide range of social, cultural, and economic inequalities. It emerged in response to the limitation women continue to face despite the achievement of the first wave. The reason behind the second wave center around challenging systematic gender inequalities and addressing deeper social norms and structures that reinforce women's subordination. So, first wave was good. They say it could be better. So, let's see. As far as workplace equality goes, women sought equal opportunity, empowerment, and wages. Although many women have entered the workforce during the World War II, that's a conversation for another day, they faced discrimination in hiring, promotions, and pay. Second wave feminists fought for equal pay to equal work, greater career opportunities, and policies that would allow women to balance work and family life, like maternity leave. Makes sense. So, when it comes to workplace equality, like I said, if you have the same resume if we have the same position, you got the same resume as I do, you should get to pay the same. Now, and fast forward, is that still the case? Nope. I'm talking about in the mass scale, although I'm seeing a lot more improvements now. In my direct life, women, in my direct life, uh, well, let me not say that because I got to get more detail regarding that information. I don't want to just throw stuff at the wall to see what sticks. So, as far as the hiring, the promotions, the pay, now we see women work. We see women get promoted, especially in the management level, depending where you work at or industry you work in. Majority of the managers are going to be females because that's what they're looking for. And also, an argument can be made. The reason why you see more women in management is only because you see the pay decrease a lot more, and they're fighting for equal pay. That's going to be a continuous fight, even in my old age. But the fight has to start somewhere, so it can end with the victory. So I get that. Next up, reproductive rights. Control over one's body became a major theme in the second wave. Feminists argued that women should have the right to make a decision about their own reproductive health, including access to contraception and abortions. This led to a significant legal battle, such as 1973, of course, Roe v. Wade. Now, ladies and gentlemen, regarding abortion, I don't believe in abortion. I see that as murder. And what is murder? A killing that is based off of selfishness, hatred, or revenge. Selfishness, hatred, or revenge is the foundation of a murder. So I don't agree. I don't support abortions. But when it comes to people's right to choose, I can't contradict myself. They earn the right to choose what to do with their body. Like I said, I don't agree with abortion at all. because I see that as murder. But the woman should have the right to do whatever she wants with their body. Give everybody the freedom to choose. I agree with that. Now, if they make a bad decision, like I said, there's always outcomes to each decision you make. And sometimes that outcome could transition to a consequence. So you never know. So you gotta let that play out. Next up, sexual liberation and the personal as political. Second wave feminists highlighted how personal experiences such as sexual harassment, domestic violence, and gender roles in marriage and family were not merely individual problems, but rooted in large societal structure. This gave rise to the slogan, the personal is political, emphasizing that personal experience of oppression were connected to the broader political system. How do I say this? Well, let me start with I don't think no one here is going to condone sexual harassment or domestic violence. So let's get that out the way. Although, like I said in the last topic, I don't agree with abortion. However, I do agree with people's right to choose. And also with people's right to choose, when they make their own decision, I get to judge you based off your decision, obviously internally, sometimes publicly if pushed to. You got to give people the opportunity to make their own decisions, especially if it's a bad one, so that way you can then make your own decision because now you got all the evidence that you need to make a wise decision. So sometimes if they want to engage in certain activities, like whatever you like sexual liberate the almost said sexual liberation, let them do that. No one's saying you have to be with that person, but they deserve the right to choose how to conduct themselves. And I say let them do it. Challenging traditional gender roles. Oh yes, this is a big one. Women the second way sought to dismantle the traditional role of wife, mother, and homemaker that were culturally imposed on women. Feminists argue that the right to pursue careers, education, and personal development outside the confines of domesticity. Oh, geez, I can't speak today. They also challenge the idea that women should conform to the standards of beauty and femininity that serve to limit their autonomy. Here's the thing with that. When it comes to gender roles, I'm okay with dismantling that because, like I said, gender roles are subjective. You know why gender roles are subjective? Is because there's some cultures where they have their woman play a certain position, and they have a woman, and in another culture they have a woman do something entirely different. To say that we all Americans need to move as one, we know that's impossible. We know that's impossible. That's not going to happen. Not in a million years. So, what they're saying is, I want to maneuver my life based off of this foundation, and it's different than what society has to say. They want that right, and I agree. And quite frankly, especially they just get to the general. I'm not gonna say this person married or not. I'm just gonna say I'm agree. Now, if you're married, that's a different subject, but I agree. Where's my bag? Do I want to do that now? If I hear it again, I'll go get my gun. Sexual violence harassment, I think that's a little bit self-explanatory. Intersectionality and inclusivity. While early second wave feminism was often criticized for focusing predominantly on the issues of middle-class white women, later in the movement, feminists began to emphasize they need to recognize how race, class, and sexuality intersects with gender. The growing awareness led to more inclusive approach to women's liberation. One second. Oh, Jesus. Okay, I'm just gonna put that right there. Okay, sorry about that. So, predominant issues in middle. Yeah, this is pretty much where women of color got inducted into the second wave. That's pretty much what that pretty much means. Because like I said, who do they focus on? Middle class white women. Now, who are they focused on? The other class, women of color. Not too many women of color in no uppity class back then, especially around this time. So I totally get that. So based off of what I read here, it almost got a little shaky. But now we can say I'm a second wave feminist. So, which the first waves are already included. All right. Now I'm gonna find this to be a little bit difficult as we go further. But let's see. Excuse me. From the 1990s to the 2010s, third wave. Oops. That was the second wave feminism, ladies and gentlemen. My bad. I got these banners here. I'm not even using it. But so yeah, that was the second wave feminism, ladies and gentlemen. Workplace equality, reproductive rights, sexual liberation, challenging traditional general sexual violence and harassment. Like I said, that's self-explanatory. We don't have to go in there. And intersectionality and inclusivity. That's the second way. So pretty much, that's not to say the first way didn't get it right. They just say we want to make it better. We're trying to make it much better than what it was. So this is where the second wave come into play. Not that I think they called themselves a second wave feminism. No, I don't think that. I think that terminology was coined by the U.S. history, whatever. That's just was not. I don't believe that was a coined phrase back then, but I could be wrong. So now let's get to the third wave, feminism. Holy, doing the Lord's work here. Third waves, embrace individuality. I knew that was individuality. I cannot talk today. Embrace individuality, sex positivity, and intersectionality. Critique earlier ways for centering white/middle class women. Okay, that's what the last wave just did. So what did you do? Anything different? I'm not sure, but let's see. All right. Third wave of feminism. Ouch, that hurt it. Which began, in the 1990s and continued in the 2000s, was a reaction to the perceived limitation of the second wave. While second wave feminism focused largely on issues like workplace discrimination, reproductive rights, and dismantling traditional gender roles, the third wave feminists sought to address more diverse and nuanced aspects of identity, gender, and power. The reasoning behind the waves center on embracing individual, inclusivity, and intersectionality while changing rigid definitions of gender, sexuality, and feminism. All right, Ski Mask, what's good? How you feeling? Shout out to Ski Mask on the vertical stream. Before we go down this road, let me see on IG. Salute to Find One. Now let's get into this. All right. Intersectionality and diversity. Let's see. Third wave feminists emphasize the experience of women cannot be understood without considering other aspects of identity such as race, class, sexual orientation, ethnicity, and religion. This concept of intersectionality, coined by Kimberly Crenshaw in the late 1980s, highlighted how different systems of oppression, such as sexism, racism, and classism, intersected and shaped the experience of women, definitely differently, especially women of color, LGBTQ plus women, and working class women. The third wave feminism aimed to be more inclusive, acknowledging that women is not a monolithic category. It's not. However, we won't go there. Let's keep it going because I don't want to checkmate anybody. What we got? Challenging ancestral while second wave feminism spoke of women's experience in a somewhat universal way. The third wave feminists rejected the idea that there is a single definition of womanhood of the universe, of female experience. Ladies and gentlemen, right there, that's why I get off the train. That right there, I'm getting off the train. Yeah. I don't. Let me keep reading. They question the notion that femininity or masculinity is biological, determined, or fixed, prompting the idea that the gender is fluid and socially constructed. This challenged essentials views of gender, opening more room for diverse expression of identity. Yeah, that's where I get off I'm definitely getting off the train on that one. It being a social construct, not. I think your ethnicity is more so of a social construct. However, with this, um, yeah, I don't know where to begin. Outside of it can't be a social construct because if men have XY chromosome and women have XX chromosome, that's not a social construct. That's just biology. So in the vicinity, there needs to be a name or umbrella term for men and for women. This is the challenging essentialism is where I get off the train. Reclaiming feminine identity and sexuality. Third wave feminists often sought to reclaim aspects of femininity and sexuality. We'll talk about that later. That have been devalued or criticized by earlier feminists. For instance, they embrace fashion, makeup, expression, and embracing traditional femininity or regarding it. Um, with that, whew, I don't. There's something about this. First of all, I agree with everything it said. When they say reclaiming your femininity, that bothers me to a degree because how can you reclaim something you never lost? But that's too deep. We don't have to go into that. Media representation and pop culture, pretty much that's self-explanatory. Go ahead and put them in a commercial here and there, put a movie TV show here and there, and go about your separate ways. That's all that, for the most part, is. Focus on individuals' choice and empowerment. I have no problem with that. Zero problem with that. Let's keep going because I'm starting to lose it. Focus on individuals' choices, empowerment. Oh yeah, unlike the second way, which focused on collective actions and societal change, the third way placed a strong emphasis on individuals' empowerment and personal choices. I like this. Feminists in the movement often argue that women should be able to make their own choices. I agree. Whether about work, family, sexuality, or appearance, without being judged, as either betraying or adhering to feminist press rule. Here's my thing on that. One second, y'all. About the judging part. You are never going to walk through this life and not be judged for whatever decision you decide to partake. That in itself don't happen. I was talking to my friend about this the other day about being absolved from consequences, or if not consequences, you absolve yourself from any blowback for the decision you make. And it's like, no, you're always going to get something. Just take your licks and keep it pushing. What else? Global feminism. Also became more global, recognized the issues facing women very across different regions of the world. Activists work to be attention to issues like human trafficking, female gender. Yikes, I'm not going there. But yeah, I agree with that. Critique of second wave feminism. Third wave feminists critique the second. I don't get these critiques. Third wave feminists critique the second wave for being too focused on the experience and issues of middle class white women. It's like the next one's going to critique the previous one. That's what this looked like. All right, we could end that is third wave feminism. I definitely cannot agree with if you have to say you either take all of it as far as the ways goes, you either take all of it, you take none of it. I can't identify as a third wave feminist because for the simple fact that I believe women that is specific. Those are lines you don't want to blur. Um, Hold on, let me stay focused real quick because I almost yeah. Let me stay focused because I'm about to drift off. I can feel it right now in this coffee. I actually need to get some more coffee. Lastly, fourth wave present, and I'll say this: I did not know we was in the fourth wave. I'm not gonna hold you guys. I didn't find that out to maybe a year and a half ago, maybe. But digital activism, Me Too Me Too movement, online movements, trans inclusivity, and global focus on equality over mere equality. Equity over mere equality emphasizes the diverse voices. Yeah, I'm sorry. I lost some energy when they said Me Too movement. Now, here's the thing about the Me Too movement before anybody gets this misconstrued. Great concept, poorly executed. Meaning, there was it. Let's just say there was a lot of bad apples. I'm not talking about what made the public news. I'm talking about the masses, where they say "Me Too" because of a bad day. I forgot what homeboy's name, but that happened to him. But let's get to it. This is we're almost done. Fourth wave feminism, which began in around 2012. Okay, there you go, and continues into the present. It's characterized by its focusing on technology, social media activism, and addressing contemporary forms of gender inequality. All right, let's just go and skip to the major social media and digital activism. One of the defining features of the fourth wave is its use of social media as a primary tool for activism and raising awareness. I don't know if primary tool is a good idea, but okay, that's cool. The internet allows feminists to organize movements, spread information quickly, and connect across abroad. Movements like Me Too and Time's Up, oh jeez. And Yes All Women, hashtag Yes All Women. I never heard of that. Y'all heard of that? Yes All Women? I ain't never heard of that. Have y'all? No, cool. Um, have gained massive global attention through platforms like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, exposing the prevalence of sexual harassment, assault, and gender bias violence. Okay, that's I don't have a problem. I'm social media stage, all good. Sexual harassment, assault, self-explanatory. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. A central focus of the fourth wave is tackling issues of sexual violence, harassment, and consent. The Me Too movement, which began in 2006, no comment, but gained international momentum in 2017, has been pivotal in highlighting a widespread nature of sexual harassment and assault in various industries, like Hollywood, corporate office, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, there are some creeps out there that needs to be called out. No one's not saying that. No one's not saying don't call out the pervs. Call them out. So I won't speak to the other side. I'm just going to agree with the idea that women should have a voice, especially when a type of injustice goes out against them. So I give them that. More intersectionality, inclusivity. I think this is talk about LGBT and more women of color. Yep. Body positivity and reproductive rights. Fight for body autonomy and reproductive rights, but with a renewed focus on body positivity, fat acceptance, and dismantling beauty standards. Um, they challenge the harmful media portrayal of women's and fights against societal pressure and confirms unrealistic beauty ideas. Let me talk to the big women. When it comes to fat positivity or whatever, I can say this. I do like a little bit more meat on the bone. Pause. So I don't have a problem with it. More for me it's the way I see it. However, I do want to say this: your health comes first. Just because you're big, that doesn't mean you're unhealthy neither. But your health does come first, regardless of what size you are. I'll just throw that out there. What else? Challenging misogyny and gender norms are self-explanatory. Gender identity, a significant development in the fourth way is focusing on gender identity and the illusion of transgender and non-binary people in feminist disclosure. Fourth way feminists advocate for transgenders' rights and work to ensure that the feminist movement is inclusive to people of all gender equalities. Okay. That's self-explanatory as well, like we stated before. As long as you have the same foundation or the same calling, you could be part of the team. That's all they're saying. Gender page gap, that's still excessively long, but that gap is closing. And global feminism, like the third wave, fourth feminism emphasizes the importance of global feminism. Feminists focus on issues like human trafficking. Okay, they got people for that. So that's good. That is good. So, with that being stated, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a first wave feminist. I'm a second wave feminist. I'm not a third wave feminist because if I just like take all of it or take none of it, I just can't take. There's some things about third wave feminism I can't take. Regarding fourth wave, I thought I saw a key moment out here where I was saying, hell no. Well, I'll find it for the fourth one. But right now, I'm going to say me being part of the fourth wave of feminism, I'm going to say this. Previously, I would have said no. I'm going to say yes now. And the only reason I don't identify as a third wave feminist is because the whole gender identity, that's not gonna sit well with me because there's something that needs to be concrete and clear as day. You don't want to govern those lines. But other than that, people, we made it. Whew, that took a lot. That took a whole lot out of me. But we made it. We went through the first 4 waves. Last week we did the major types of feminism. And of course, first week we have to break down the definition of the word feminism just to prove that maybe, if not everybody, most people are feminists. So I would say regarding that, mission accomplished. Mission accomplished, ladies and gentlemen. Now you get to ask yourself, is everybody around you a feminist? Because depending on what your beliefs are, I'll keep that offline because I'm starting to drift out. But thank you guys for tuning in to all 3 parts of Everyone's a Feminist. I greatly appreciate it. This is the BTSI show. I'm your host, Christopher J. Thank you guys for tuning in. One more thing before we go. Where is it? One more thing before we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm actually up for this one. Shout out to Chig from Clubhouse. I'll see to it that whenever I do my whatchamacalls that his profile get put in there, and I hope the room's recorded so I can add that link. Now, during the various topics in Clubhouse, they talked about the idea of throwing your child out at 18. Is that a good idea or a bad idea? Of course, the majority of people thought that was a good idea. To throw a child out of the house when he's 18. Well, here's my thing. I'm going to say this and I'm going to go to why I'm really upset. 18 is a teenager. The only thing is the state recognizes them as an adult, but at the end of the day, that child is still a teenager. He or she got a lot of growing to do before you even think about throwing them outside the house. Now, with that being stated, to the dudes that were talking about kicking them out, they got to fend for their own, they got to do all this other stupid shit that doesn't have any good results in the mass scale. What was your guys' take on community again? What was you guys' take on protecting women and securing the community? Because I don't see how this is community building if you're throwing an 18-year-old on their ass and tell them go figure it out. I don't think that shit is right. Oops, let me get here. So with that, now some people say, why do I have a problem with that? Several things. Number one, that's like I said, that's a teenager. Number two, you could bring up the frontal lobe conversation. I don't care. But it's the fact that you cannot see, and this is what pisses me off when people talk about community, they don't know what they're talking about. When they talk about community, you have the opportunity to show that you're about community and God presented to you, but that person just went to bed and said, nah, 18, you gotta get out of my house. That's not community building. And matter of fact, in that room, they let me not say they shame, but I know when people's tone of voice where it's like you shaming people. I've been doing this for too long, so I know when somebody's getting looked down upon for this. But the idea, there was a mother in the room who said that she's not kicking her daughter out when she's 18. Per her husband's orders, they're going to go to college and they're going to come back home. And as far as the girls go, they're going to stay till they get married. There's a reason why I say that. That's the epitome of community building. When people speak out against it, it's like, I thought you was for the community. What happened? See, it's nice to blend in with the crowd and speak this community shit. But when it's time for you to actually show your community person that you've been praying for, like I said, quite frankly, you went to bed. You pray for the opportunity to show everybody you are a leader in a community builder. God gave you it, and you said, fuck it. Get them out the house so I can get the house to myself. That sounds like a true leader to me. My people, black people, is we talk about solutions, but we don't want to execute it when the time comes. Even when we're having a conversation, that was an easy note to make, articulate and get out the way. But some people, I won't say that. So with that being stated, black people, we're really about community. Like we say we are, we gotta do it. We gotta show for it. And also, if we're really about community, that has to be heard in every time you talk. Hold on. Oh, so no, let me not do that. In every time you speak, Every time you articulate your words, although you might not even talking about, the conversation might not be about community, it's the fact that, hey, community, consistency. A lot of people have trouble. People like to just talk and throw shit at the wall, not knowing, hey, I remember what you said, but what you just stated right now doesn't align. So there got to be a problem. So I need black people. Yes, black people. If you really want to talk the talk, when the opportunity presents itself, take advantage of it. Even when you're just talking, take advantage of it. But now all we see, it was another day where we see people who just like to have conversation but not do anything. These same people that probably vent about the community this and community that. It's easy to vent. It's another thing to, well, do your job. But that's just a message to black people, something I saw in the room earlier today. So I'm glad I was able to address it here. Like I said, shout out to Chig. I think it's, I just think it's stupid. I also think it's stupid that as black people we engage with in situations or activities where that bears no results. That bears no results, or that bears the same results, the same bad result. But you say, well, get the child out there because they got experience. Well, experience comes with trauma down the road. But that's a story for another day. They don't want to have that conversation. But that was last call, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to hold you guys. I am tired with all this moving that I had to do. And quite frankly, I'm still not done yet. We got to get it done. I just wanted to do the finale today because I was supposed to do it Sunday. When I didn't have any energy to do it. And I'm not going to hold you guys. I'm just dragging it to the finish line today. But I'm glad we was able to get this done. Now, regarding my interview with Substance, we're going to push that back. I'm going to talk to her to see what date works for her. Right now, she's taking care of something right now, so she's going to need that time to herself. But we will definitely do that one-on-one interview down the road. You have my word. Let's just figure out a date, and we'll get that done. All right? And on your way out, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to contact, hit the like button, hit the dislike, follow me, and share this to a friend or two. Follow me on my social links are located in the description. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Once we reach that goal, one lucky person get $100 in the cash out giveaway. Now, again, everybody, a feminist is just a person that believes that women should have equal rights. Not a woman, not a female that believes that women should have equal rights. A human being that believes women should have equal rights. If that's the case, ladies and gentlemen, again, my name is Christopher Joseph Guar, and I'm a feminist. Yes, I am a feminist because I want the women in my circle, I want the women in my circle to be treated as equally as I would be treated. That's ultimately what I believe in. That's what I want. That's what makes me a feminist. Right now, let me go ahead and start winding down before we go back to some old school drift away stuff in the stream. But thank you guys again for tuning into this 3-part series. This is something I've been wanting to do for a very long time. Like I said, I got tired of people throwing out the word feminism or feminist and not really know what that word means. So we had to do this journey to break down what feminism is to the core, to the different types, to the different waves. So now when people say, now I can go out there and if the opportunity presents itself, I can say, yo, I am a feminist. And let me tell you why I'm a feminist. And based off of what I tell you, you have to ask yourself, are you a feminist too? And if you're not, that's the story for you to explain. But let's go ahead and get out of here. Let's get my music, y'all. I'm exhausted, but we're going to get out of here. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is the BTSI show. I'm your host, Christopher J. Talk to you guys later. Peace out. Extraterrestrial. Like an extraterrestrial. We'll turn that down. All right, y'all. It's been a good 3 weeks. We're going to close it with Substance. We're going to get her to find a date so we can do this interview. And let's see what happens. But thank you guys for tuning in. And my apologies earlier. I don't know why the audio wasn't working on the vertical side. I had to shut that down and start a new one. I'm glad this one's working. But more content later, ladies and gentlemen. We're only getting started. We are going to do the Whisper of Doubts series. Just let's enjoy this time off. Or actually, let me rest. Let me go ahead and finish this house. This backdrop looks nice. Yes, it does. But there's other things I need to do in this house. Like I said, I got a TV I need to hang up. My son's room is going to be the next thing that I work on. Then I'm going to get a dining room table. And then we're going to be out. But let's go ahead and get out of here. I'm going to sleep. Actually, god dang it, I got to make a phone call that I'm going to sleep. Damn it. Oh, it is what it is. Thank you guys for tuning in. BTSI show, Christopher J. Talk to y'all later. Peace out.